Thank you. Hi, everyone. And thank you for having us here, the Swedish team. We are going to present a project, progress, that we call Technology Heritage in Education, Learning from the Past to Shape the Future. And me, I'm Anna Söderqvist. I'm a teacher education in STEM, and with a specific focus on teaching science and technology for future teachers. Thomas?
I'm a historian focusing on tech history, tech transfer and stuff like that. I'm working on in the humanities part of our academy. Anne-Marie, she's working on the education part.
Hello, I am the museum guy. My role is, from the beginning, a little bit diffuse or weird because I am a coordinator and developer when it comes to cultural heritage in the county and region of Halland, south of Sweden, into Gothenburg and Malmö. So I work like search for problems and try to see what we can do about the problems into strengths. So we got together in a very interesting way, this little group. So we'll tell you more about that later on, but now you know the foundation of the group. Yes.
So as you can see, this is a very transdisciplinary project. And but the common thing is technology heritage. So before we go on with this presentation, we need to say something about what we mean with technology heritage. And we are all interested in historical artifacts and specifically technologies. It could be tools, systems, innovations that have transformed society and human life and history. But we not only have it as an interest in museums, we also want to use these artifacts in relation to education. So we think that this could have a substantial educational value to provide learners with contextualized understanding of how and why technology had been developed and how it had affected societies through the history. And the reason that we want to do this project is that on the one hand, there is a declining interest in STEM education. Young people today are not interested in science and technology to study these subjects. On the other hand, we have a great need in society when it comes to workforce in these areas. So there is a problem, so to say. And one reason for this is that many of these contents are abstract for students. We need to somehow contextualize this and also visualize it for them in a good way. And teachers need help to do this. So we think this could be a way to help teachers and also students to understand the STEM content. And on the other side, we have the museums. They are, so to say, have a growing need to ensure museums' renewal, relevance, and also the competence in the museums. And this could be a way to support their long-term growth of preserving cultural heritage. So here is something about the project.
So how come we started this project from the beginning? Well, let me take you back in time, 1 year, 3 months, and some days. Because in my job, I have to move around to check out what the actors of cultural heritage in Halland needs. What are their problems and how can we help them? And yearly we have in Halland one very large event connected to the Landeryd Railway Museum. It's a complete non-profit driven community-based museum that has in their collection steam trains, trams, and all the things connected, buildings that was formerly a big railway knot in the inner of Holland. And they yearly gather like 10,000, 15,000 interested people to this event. It's called the Railway Weekend, the first in September sometime. And we went there, I went there as, together with my family, just to check it out. And then, okay, I would like to meet the responsibility, the chairman of the board. And we got to chat. And I asked him, what are your needs, in fact? And he said something about technology, and then he said, and of course, as Anne-Marie said, we are not getting any younger. The people who know this is getting older and older, and we are not sure what to do about the future. Aha, we said. And on the road back, my wife asked me, I said, okay, you have a problem, this is it. So how do these museums connect to the technical high schools? And I said, I don't know, most likely not. And we found out, no, they don't. So then suddenly we started to talk, and this developed into, well, this is a need for the society. Because if we get those students into the museum, they can get interested in becoming the new intelligence for these technical museums. At the same time, and then we realized, and the education will also benefit from this. So we started out in a very small way, and then, okay, let's contact the nearest high school and talk to the museum and see what's happening. And there we started our thinking. And after that, I spoke about this idea on a network meeting in the Cultural Heritage Institutions in Holland. And there, Thomas got to hear about this. So suddenly, say, this could be something to study. And then you bumped into each other. Okay, the education part of not being just historians, but teaching the teachers. And said, oh, this goes together very much to us. And suddenly we had a project that comes from this. And so the main thing about this project has been supporting the museums with the new intelligence. And second, supporting the schools with ideas about how to get somebody to be interested in this kind of area. So we are having a small plan that Thomas will talk about a little bit more, but how can we connect and use both institutions to make them benefit from each other? And we are presenting this, and suddenly we realized, okay, we have to call this something, because it is a project, and we can show you that it's getting larger and larger and larger. But anyhow, we are connecting it, and now we present it to you under the name of HeriTech. We will have a logotype, of course we will have a logotype, because that is how we have to make some kind of an impact. And people to remember this, because it's not really rocket science we're talking about. Because, okay, it's easy, museums go to technical museums and you say, well, it's nothing special. But if you watch it as a philosophy in a larger way that we can talk about later, we have to mark that this is a method we are using. So I will give a very warm thought to my friend Mr. Grafik, who did this non-profit so far. We have to pay him later on, but anyhow. So HeriTech, of course, it's heritage techniques we are talking about. And it's very wide, we must say later on. So we'll get back to that. But the foundation of this is, of course, the museums of Holland. And we found out that we have a major amount of technique museums that nobody's thinking about as technique museums. We have these railway museums in the middle. We have the Holland Military Museum talking about, of course, and they have the national collection of air defense in our small town in Halmstad. So it's a national museum that lies there talking about nothing but technique, because military and techniques go so much together. And on the other hand, in Holland, we also have a World Heritage. The radio transmitter of Grimeton lies there as well. And we realized, and we're talking to them, and everybody said, this is very good. We have to do something, but what shall we do in fact? Well, we are in the beginning. So this is the starting point of a very large project, we can tell. And we are not sure if this need we have in Sweden is the same as you have in other countries, but we are very interested to hear about what are your ideas about this later on. So please come up to us later on. But first of all, Thomas.
So the activities of the project then is that, as Johan said, we will engage with the students. And in the first phase, sort of, we will use, or we will collaborate with our students at Halmstad University. In December and January, we will take those groups of students who learn about technology, this school subject. And we decided that we will start out in the military museum to take them there and get a briefing, a tour, an explanation of all the technology and the development. So that is the first phase of the project. And then hopefully we get some funding and we can continue also inviting secondary school students later in the spring of 2026. But what the students can do when they're at the site, in situ, sort of, they can work on restoring historical technological artifacts. There's plenty of young boys, maybe I'm a bit biased here, but mostly boys who are interested in working with their cars, turning them into faster cars maybe, that could come and help out, especially in the train museum, the railway museum, with technical stuff. They can also digitize museum material, scanning and doing that kind of work. Also maybe thinking about how to develop old technologies into more modern versions. Maybe it's enough in the first phase just to think about it, to talk about it, to conceptualize it without actually doing something with it. They can serve as guides at museums, they can have internships at the museum. In the upper secondary school, when you finish the last semester, you write a kind of essay or you do a project which can be placed at the museums. And also our students in the university there, they can develop teaching material from going to visit the museums, educational materials. The data collection then, we will follow the students will collect information, data that will be the foundation for their sort of how to teach technology in school. But while we will study the students, what they do. For instance, we will interview them, we will see them when they are at the museum, we will just sort of observe them, and that kind of things. Very basic methods. And also what we will talk about or look into much more is that, you know, what they do, what kind of teaching materials they will create, lessons, plans. We can look at maybe the upper secondary school projects during later in the springs. So we see a data collected from December this year till June next year. So the expected outcomes. We decided that we will sort of share this slide.
Well, hopefully our students become more interested in the STEM subjects, science and technology, and also that the student teachers become more confident in teach, especially in relation to history and technology, by using museums in their everyday, so to say, teaching at schools in the future.
Exactly. We take them to the museums, they can take their students later on when they are working as teachers.
And there is, I tried to tell my brain to stop, but it tells me stories about how this could affect the future of the society in a very deep way as well, because We are a split society right now in Sweden. It's countryside versus cities, education versus non-education, original Swedes versus migrants, and we have all these discussions. It's very much a split society that needed to be fixed, and we have also a different problem because we are getting non-related to the original work. Original work is happening somewhere else. You make clothes somewhere else. You make technology somewhere else. You make food somewhere else. We are getting longer away from the basic craft to do things. And I am afraid that if we saw during the pandemics, Sweden got suddenly, oh, we ain't got this masks for the face because we don't buy this, we don't keep in storage, we don't have the knowledge. Oh, a storm comes in, too much snow comes in. Imagine that Sweden is not prepared to snow. You hear that? But then suddenly you can't drive your cars and the electricity and the cars stopped, blah, blah, blah. How do we get the medicine out to people? And then we realized we need technical home front resilience, because we need to use people that has technical powers to work with their hands to restore things. And it comes to getting electricity, to hand out medicine to the old people living in houses long away from the hospitals, etc., etc. And we have a skill in Sweden connected to those guys we were talking about later on, because the countryside is taking care of itself. And we have a tradition, two traditions that connected to cars in Sweden. One is the Teddy Boys tradition of we love American cars and we love party and we say ugly words and drive around. And you have the youth society of that connected to that we have a special driver's license connected to tractors that goes only 40 kilometers an hour. And you can have that when you're 15 years old. You don't need to have a driver's license, you don't need to know anything. But how about using these kids as a part of that home front idea to give them a place in society, not just become the outlaws, but to become the things that we need, to give them the power to help society. And this is connected to this knowledge and to this HeriTech problems thinking. So I hope that this can affect the society in Sweden to become more resilient, to become more aware of their own strength and to connect people. Because one thing that connects the countryside rednecks with people living in migrant ghettos in the outside the big cities, they love cars. Both of them love cars. And many of them comes from society that has much more related to, okay, I use a sledgehammer when I repair my car. If both of the societies look the same, so perhaps we can make a great difference to this society by using this project as well. But as you said, I have a dream. But we have to have dreams, because that's the main thing that makes us human. I believe that.
Okay. And we also, sorry.
It's not too fast.
Okay. Also, we're thinking about involving companies in this, maybe for internships or making them finance some more studies, maybe. But the bottom line is that if we can get more young people interested in applying for technological, I would say, programs at university or a secondary upper school, then the tech companies will benefit as well. So there's sort of a triangle here with the university, the schools, tech museums, and the tech companies as well, I think.
The society, civil society.
Exactly.
It's a 5-point triangle.
5-point triangle, yeah. Okay, so something else?
A lot.
A lot, but not now.
Not now.
Thanks for listening.
Okay.